Arc Raiders has been out for a few months now, and it has been a great ride so far. It feels like yesterday when we were just going topside for our first raids, discovering all that the game had to offer. Arc Raiders has always been top notch when it comes to immersion for me. The graphics, the map design, the audio, and all the little details that make Arc Raiders a game that you truly experience rather than just play. But now that we've had our hands on it for some time, it's been a few months now, we really have a chance to objectively look at where we stand right now, and we see what things need to change in the game. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the top 6 things that Arc Raiders needs to change. And we're going to start with the anti-cheat, because this is a huge deal and can have a very big impact on whether or not players continue to play the game. It's been a hot topic in Arc Raiders and will always be a part of the conversation, as cheaters will never go away and they will always be one step ahead. But Embark is taking this very seriously and continues to build and advance their anti-cheat systems to create a fair play environment. Now, recently, the devs announced that they added de novo anti-cheat to accompany their other anti-cheat systems, and this sounds like a step in the right direction. The de novo anti-cheat was added to the finals. That's Embark's other arena shooter game, and so far it's doing good things. I've played the finals myself for a few hundred hours, and I don't think I've ever run into a cheater, so I have a belief that the same can be true with Arc Raiders. I feel like we can get to a point where cheating is not really super prevalent in Arc Raiders. And now I know that might seem unusual to some players. A lot of solo players, a lot of PvE players are probably not really running into a lot of cheaters, and myself included. I don't run into a ton. But when you're in those trio lobbies where there's a lot of PvP going on, it is absolutely more prevalent. So it's worth noting. Also, improvements to the anti-cheat were mentioned when they announced that change to the 6-month update cycle, stating that this additional development space also allows us to invest more deeply in the health of Arc Raiders, from progression and economy balancing to fair play and anti-cheat efforts. We know these are foundational to the experience, especially in a game where every encounter and extraction matters. So it seems that not only are they planning to cook big time with their large biannual content updates, but also with their anti-cheat enhancements as well. And we need to see improvements over the next few months leading up to the big Frozen trial update in October. And we need to see the anti-cheat systems keeping fair play intact more than we have in recent memory. It seems obvious, and I'm sure it's harder than it seems, but nonetheless, things need to get better in this department, and Embark knows it. Another thing that needs some love in Arc Raiders is the Raider cred. The Raider cred is the blue currency and is acquired by completing daily challenges that range from destroying certain types of Arc to searching Raider caches, for example. And this currency is currently used to purchase basic items from Shani or to level up Raider decks. And the Raider decks are honestly few and far between. We've only had 3 since the launch of the game, and quite frankly, I was hoping for one every single month, and maybe even a paid one that has even more skins and rewards. But here we are. So Shani just recently got some new items added, but really other than the Raider hatch keys that she has, there's really not a lot of interesting items here. Certainly nothing that's rare. So there isn't a lot to do with the Raider cred, which makes doing the dailies not something that anybody cares about. But they should. They should care about this. I mean, how can we get players to want to log in every day to do their dailies and get that Raider cred? Obviously, more Raider decks is one solution, but I also feel like the new nomadic envoy trader that was recently added could have been a strict Raider cred currency trader. There's already plenty of events and projects and upgrades that incentivize players to extract items. I don't know if we necessarily needed another one, especially when we have this other mechanic in the Raider cred that could really use some love. Just an idea, but there's no doubt that players should feel inclined to log in every day to do their Raider cred feats. And right now, that's really not happening, not even in the slightest. This is a big opportunity for them. Another thing that needs to change in Arc Raiders is the skill tree. Oh my goodness. I love the idea of the skill tree and getting excited about unlocking certain skills that can have a meaningful impact on my Raider. But as it stands now, there's only a few skills that really provide that. I find that many of the skills have a very minor impact, and some skills are just outright worthless. So every skill on the skill tree, especially the nodes at the end of each of the trees, really needs to feel valuable and transformative. And right now, that's not happening either. To me, the unique abilities that the augments provide often trump the value of the skill tree. It would be super cool to see players mixing and matching augments with the skill tree nodes that they selected to create a unique character expression of how they play the game. And right now, it's really just looting survivor augment paired with turtle crawl and crawl before you walk. And outside of that, there really isn't much synergy between skill trees and augments. But I feel like there could be a lot if the skill tree gets reworked. Now, the skill tree was brought up as something that Embark is looking to improve upon with the Frozen Trial update in October, so they are aware of the opportunities with the skill tree, and I definitely look forward to seeing how far they go with these changes. Another thing that Arc Raiders needs to do is make the actual Raider coin more relevant in some way. The Raider coin is the free basic currency that you get when selling extracted items to the traders, and you can easily amass large amounts of coin quickly just by selling trinkets or any leftover items from a successful raid that you don't need. And outside of leveling up your stash in the very beginning, there really wasn't much use for the coins. However, there were some times in previous seasons where we all had millions of coins stocked up in just a couple of weeks' time, and for some of us, there was a good reason at that time. And if you wanted to unlock the bonus skill points that the expedition projects offered, you had to get to 5 million coin and then 3 million coin in the first 2 seasons, respectively. But since then, there really hasn't been any need or use for the coin other than to purchase the basics like ammo and medical supplies, and maybe even the occasional weapon attachment from the traders. So for the most part, coin value skyrockets in your stash way faster than you can spend it. So we just stare at millions of coin with nothing to use them on, and that makes me sad. Now, I'm not advocating for the return of the coin requirements for the expedition skill points, although I did feel like that was more fun. However, I do think there is one thing that you could do that is similar. Instead of making the 5 bonus skill points about having 5 million coins in your hand and in total at the time of the expedition, make it 5 million coins sold to the traders over the course of a period of time. This is just an example amount, but players are incentivized to actually use all of the items and money that they have found over the course of the season, and at the same time is encouraged to extract and sell those valuable items to push the needle on an overall sell value goal. Another idea for Raider Coin is to add a new trader in the shop, one that specifically sells upgrades to your Raider Den. As of now, the Raider Den gets upgraded as you level up your character, and accessories in the den are determined by the items in your stash. Now, I think it would be cool if you could just buy upgrades for your den with coins that you have left over, which could give players a little bit more customization on a screen that they look at quite often. Also, requiring items to be in your stash so they appear in the den isn't my favorite way to achieve customization, because you end up just losing that valuable stash base just so you can have some ducks on the shelf or whatever. So instead, it would be cool if the Raider Den trader would actually have barters for everything. So for example, I extract 5 yellow ducks and I barter those ducks to the trader, and now the ducks are a permanent fixture in my den without taking up stash space. These are just a couple of ideas, but we need Raider Coin to become more relevant and exciting to have. And last thing on this topic, because it's kind of important, what I don't want to have happen is that everything in the game becomes purchasable with coins. So in other extraction shooters, this is sort of a normal thing. Players only really care about money in the end and what sells for the highest value, and usually it's always gear off of other players that you beat in PvP. When this happens, the mindset of the player base changes and then often just reverts everyone into this PvP only playstyle mentality. Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying PvP. I enjoy it myself. But one thing that Arc Raiders has done so well, better than anybody else, is create a wonderful balance between PvP and PvE. And for sure, making everything purchasable with coins would disrupt that balance like you see in other extraction games, and I definitely do not want that. I love how Arc Raiders always incentivizes you to go out and loot. Next up, we need to talk about the Trials, guys. The Trials has been a point of contention for a lot of players since the game came out, and Embark is continuing to adjust how these weekly challenges are presented to players because they know it's not right where they want it to be. Now, recently, changes were made to remove the 2x points on major map conditions, giving players more opportunity to compete by letting them do their best scores on a variety of maps instead of feeling forced to play a specific map condition that is only available like twice a day or whatever. So this was without a doubt a good change. It makes competing in the trials more accessible for more players, but I still feel like something is missing. When you engage in the trials in the higher ranks, for example, especially Daredevil and Hotshot, there's really no reason to care about placement until the end of the season, the end of the 8-week season. So this is because rewards are just only given based on what rank you end up with the last week of the season. So for any player taking trials seriously, there's really no reason to log in every week and try to do your absolute best, because how you perform that week is effectively irrelevant. The only thing that matters is where you ended up on the very last week. So this is a problem in my opinion. The trials is functioning as an end game type of mechanic, something that makes players want to log in every week and engage with the game. But in its current form, it's really not happening. So the question is, how do you get players to care about the trials every single week and put forth their absolute best effort? Well, I would love to see the reward system work more similarly to the way they do in the finals. So in the finals, when you reach a rank threshold like gold or platinum or whatever, you unlock the cosmetic rewards for that rank, even if you D-rank and fall below that rank by the end of the season. This is something that I think Arc Raiders should implement, as well as including Cantina Legend, the highest rank in Arc Raiders. Cantina Legend is the top 1,000 players for that current week. But as it stands now, if you reach Cantina Legend, let's say on week 7, but you fall out of it on week 8, you lose the rewards for Cantina. Once again, making players only care about that final week. So what if reaching Cantina Legend at any point in the season guaranteed you those rewards? This would mean that players would actually be trying their best every single week to try and reach the highest rank that they could, and creating better engagement in the trials, in my opinion. This is just an idea, once again, but how can we make players care about doing their absolute best week in and week out in the trials? That's the question. Now, before any of the finals players correct me in the chat, yes, in the finals, you do need to maintain the highest rank Ruby at the end of the season, or you lose the rewards. All the other rewards, you just have to get to that point and you can fall below and keep them. But the very highest rank, you do need to stay there in the finals. But the finals is different than Arc Raiders. It's a competitive arena shooter. So I think it makes a little bit more sense for that game. But Arc Raiders being a little bit more casual and the trials having no PvP related challenges, I think it makes a lot more sense to me that players get the rewards based on highest rank achieved for all ranks, including Cantina Legend. Just my 2 cents on that. And last but not least is the Arc Raiders endgame, guys. What is the big picture that players are working towards? And as of now, the Arc Raiders endgame consists of a few game mechanics that are designed to keep players playing week over week. That includes the trials, like we just talked about, the 8-week expedition projects, and now the new nomadic envoy trader with its weekly rewards. So for someone like me who's super passionate about the game, the actual gameplay loop keeps me coming back every single day to play, and things like the expedition keep me endlessly in that loop that I enjoy. But for some players, that's just not enough, and I get it. They want to see more, and I think a lot of what those players want is exciting storytelling and lore that makes the player feel like they're a small contributor to a larger goal. The fight against the Ark remains a core principle of the game, and I think players want to feel like they're playing their part in restoring humanity and ending that Ark reign on the surface. And Embark sees this too, and has briefly mentioned it in one of their update posts. Right now, Raiders are facing an escalating Ark threat, and the society in Speranza may feel helpless against it. But Raiders aren't built to stay on the back foot. The goal has always been bigger than survival. It's about one day reclaiming the surface. Frozen Trail, this is the new update that's coming in October, will start to progress this goal and expose elements of this challenge. But it is really just the beginning. We aim to constantly shift the paradigm that Raiders operate under so you feel the effects of your actions and perseverance against the Ark. I think the thing that stands out the most for me in this statement is the feeling the effects of your actions and perseverance against the Ark. To me, Embark has created such an immersive world with Arc Raiders, and I feel like this is only the beginning of the journey. I can really see Embark developing a wildly unique experience for the endgame in the future, where all of our actions have a consequence for the future of Arc Raiders and its storytelling going forward. Considering how amazing their first steps were with this game, I cannot wait to see where they take this beautiful game in the future. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below things that you would like to see changed in Arc Raiders in the future, and I will catch you in the next one.